Good afternoon, and welcome to the 2021 Annual Board Meeting of Team Baldwin. I am Justin Kuntz, and I will be representing our company today. I will begin our discussion with a brief overview of our previous strategy, then go into our current strategy we've been using for the past couple rounds and how we've been achieving these results. After that, we will go into round specifics covering each of our products and how they did in their respective markets, then following with how it affected our financials. Once that is covered, we will drill down on why these results are happening, covering our strengths and weaknesses and how we plan on addressing those. Finally, a discussion on how our team plans to strategically move forward will be given, starting with a brief competitor analysis to help our board members understand the current situation in the market, then address how we plan on changing our strategy to achieve strategic positioning. The first question that our board members are wondering is, what is our current situation? Team Baldwin is currently facing low market demand with having no option but to take out emergency loans to cover our cash positioning. With that covered, we will then go into our strategy. The original strategy of Team Baldwin was low-cost products competing on price. Unfortunately, our team has done horrible in executing affordable low-cost products. Starting with an aggressive approach in year 2016 and due to high stockouts of every product along with major investments in research and development, we are unable to cover all associated costs to continue our strategy. Our prices were too low and forecasting wasn't meeting the demand of our customers, thus causing market share to diminish quickly. So now, what is our current strategy? Due to continuous low sales, poor contribution margins, and decreasing market share, our strategy has changed to low spending while focusing on paying off debt and increasing demand for our three remaining products, Baker, Bead, and Big B, while covering all the associated costs. So how are we doing in achieving this strategy? We're able to partially achieve our new strategy by raising prices, cutting promotion and sales budgets, and having material, labor, and inventory carrying costs under control. By doing so, we were able to bring up our contribution margins, greatly reduce emergency loans, and slowly increase demand for our products to achieve a slight increase in sales and gain a positive net income. Unfortunately, we still had to take out an emergency loan of $92,179. Along with that, we were also hit with stockouts in our product Baker, which caused us to lose market share, and had substantial remaining inventory for our product Big B, which caused high inventory carrying costs that ultimately forced us to take out an emergency loan. With that summary in mind, let's move on to round 6 specifics, starting on with one of our low-end products, Baker. With a price of $20.50 and an age of 7.12 years, Baker had sold a total of 931 units, but it stocked out. Due to the stockout, we lost 1.8% of our potential market share, ending with a total of 5% of the low-end market. Moving on, Baker had a contribution margin of 41% with material costs at $6.20 and labor costs at $5.61. Originally being a traditional product, Baker had also sold 11 units in this segment. Next, we'll move on to our other low-end product, Bead, which is also our main competitor in the segment. With a price of $20.99 and an age of 7.49 years, Bead was our best-selling product with 2,365 units sold. We managed to effectively forecast and ended with only 11 units in ending inventory. The product gained 3.3% of potential market share, ending with a total of 14% of the low-end market. Bead had the highest contribution margin of 50%, with material cost of $4.78 and labor costs of $5.54. Finally, we will move on to our main traditional product, Big B. At an age of 3.11 years and a price of $25, Big B had only sold 756 units, causing us to end with an ending inventory of 215 units. We managed to gain 0.7% actual over potential market share and ended with 6% of the traditional market. Big B had a contribution margin of 39% with material costs of $7.95 and labor costs of $6.49. With an overview of product results, we can move on to how those affected our financials. By having a total of 7.09% of the total market share, Baldwin was only able to gain sales of $87,625,330. After factoring in all the costs, we did achieve a positive net income of $6,922,715. Having discussed the results from this round, we will now be going into why we are achieving these results, discussing our strengths and weaknesses, and how we plan on addressing them. Our current biggest strength right now is our contribution margin. In round 2, our contribution margin was at 0.1, meaning we were selling our products at the same amount it took to produce them. In order to bring the contribution margins up, we had to raise our prices and reduce our variable costs. We were able to cut labor costs by investing in automation, bringing the current levels up to 7.0 for Baker, 7.5 for Bead, and 7.0 for Big B. Another way we tackled this dilemma was by investing in time quality management. We were able to reduce material costs by 5.03% and labor costs by 4.47% from investing $1.5 million in UNEP green programs and $1.5 million in Six Sigma training. This is a strength because without having a good contribution margin, we wouldn't be able to cover any of our costs, thus not being able to make any kind of profit. Unfortunately for Team Baldwin, we have many more weaknesses than we do strengths. Since we got our contribution margin under control, one of our biggest weaknesses right now is having to take out an emergency loan every round. At this point, it almost seems inevitable not to take one out. Although we significantly lowered our emergency loan taken out, we still had to take one of $92,179 to cover our cash position. So the question now is, how are we going to address this? One of our main focuses in our current strategy has been to not take out an emergency loan. Although we planned not to, we still had to. One of the main reasons behind this was the inventory carrying costs associated with Big B. We overforecasted because we didn't take into account how far off we were from our customer expectations compared with competitors who had already gained substantial amounts of market share. In order to not take out an emergency loan, we had to pay extreme attention to our cash position. To make sure we have a positive cash position, we must take out maximum current debt, issuance of stock and long-term debt, otherwise known as bonds. Another way is to make sure that we have adequate profits that will only be achieved by increasing product demand by meeting customer expectations and maximizing awareness and accessibility. Given our current situation, those expectations may be impossible to reach. Having gone over what it will take to avoid an emergency loan, that brings us into our next weakness, market demand. At 7.09% total market demand, we are extremely lagging behind our competitors. One of the main reasons for this is we are not meeting our customer expectations. And another reason is that we don't have well awareness or accessibility in our traditional and low-end markets. For low-end, we did not meet the top expectation of low price for both products, Baker and Bead, which are almost at the top of the range of $22 with prices of $20.50 and $20.99 respectively. With ages of 7.12 for Baker and 7.49 for Bead, we also did not meet the second most important expectation, but aren't too far off. Although Bead has an ideal performance and size coordination of 4.7 and 15.3, it is not supported by the other expectations or customer awareness of 52% and accessibility of 82%, which all factor into a poor December customer survey score of 20. The poor customer awareness and accessibility are results from cutting sales and promotion budgets to decrease our spending. For our traditional product, Big B, we are having the same problems as with Baker and Bead, except even worse. With an age of 3.11, we are not meeting the ideal age, and if we were to put it into R&D, we would have an age below the ideal spot, which would also push away demand, as it is almost the most important traditional criteria. The price of $25 is also reaching the top of the acceptance, and the position of 8.5 performance and 11.5 size are not even close. Customer awareness and accessibility are also at ultimate lows of 23% and 40%. One of the major costs that hit us associated with Big B was inventory carrying costs, as previously discussed. So the question now is, how are we going to address this? With limited resources and limited money to invest, we have to choose wisely. A couple of decisions that we made were to invest in TQM modules, along with meeting more of our customer expectations as closely as we can, along with raising our customer awareness and accessibility. To increase demand for our products, we have decided to keep investing $1.5 million in the TQM module channel support systems. Last time, that increased our demand by 7.15%. Another way we plan to address this is by raising our promotion and sales budgets back to adequate levels. Lowering prices, however, will be an issue, as we need to make sure that we're recovering our variable costs. Big B is one of our products that we will need to focus more attention on and make sure that we meet the customer criteria more, as it is our only current traditional product. By positioning it better and raising awareness and accessibility along with better forecasting, we will be able to slightly increase demand without heavy inventory costs. When Baker comes out of R&D in the beginning of next round, it will also gain 25% awareness, but the new performance of 8.5 and the size of 11.5 with an age 3.6 still won't meet the customer criteria for either the low-end or traditional segments. In order to give an adequate analysis of how we plan to move forward on our strategic planning, a brief summary of the last two parts must be given to help understand where we're at. We are able to partially achieve this strategy by raising our prices to cover all of our variable costs, along with decreasing the amount of emergency loans by taking out the maximum current and long-term debt, and by better forecasting to avoid major inventory carrying costs. To fully achieve this strategy, we plan to increase our demand by investing in different TQM modules and raising our customer awareness and accessibility by increasing our promotion and sales budgets. Now we move on to analysis of Team Andrews, who are the dominating team in the traditional and low-end segments, to give an idea of where we're at in comparison and how realistic it is for us to gain market share. Andrews has a market share of 33.8% in traditional and 32.7% in low-end. They're able to achieve this by dropping out of every other market and focusing primarily on these segments. With high sales and high cash positioning, they're able to invest heavily in TQM, promotion and sales budgets, and meet customer criteria with low prices, good ages, and near perfect positioning. Andrews also has 3 product lines in each segment, giving them 100% awareness and mid to upper 90s accessibility on every product. It's unrealistic to think that we can catch up to Team Andrews, but by analyzing their achievements, we are able to see what it takes to win in these markets. So now we have come to what is our strategy going forward in our future plans. Since we have more of a grip on our contribution margin, along with our emergency loans, which we have concluded are inevitable but nonetheless should be continued to be reduced as much as possible, we will continue to focus on low spending while continuing to raise sales and profits by increasing our demand. In order to gain market share and reduce emergency loan amounts taken out, we must continue to invest in the right TQM modules, increase awareness and accessibility, and make sure we forecast right. TQM modules we highly considered are channel support systems to increase our demand, UNEP green programs to reduce material costs along with raising demand, and quality function deployment efforts to speed up future R&D times along with increasing demand as well. To go along with our low spending efforts, we must decide on the 2 most beneficial so that we can invest more into promotion and sales to gain awareness and accessibility. For forecasting, we had all 3 extremes. In Baker, we stocked out, Bede we only had 11 left on hand, and Big B we had 215 remaining. We have to realize how well our products are meeting our customer expectations and plan accordingly. A useful benchmark for that is to multiply last round's results by expected growth, but again, that is only a benchmark. By analyzing where our products place with expectations, we should be able to better realize if we need to raise or lower unit productions. On a final note, I would like to give a brief outlook on how I feel that Team Baldwin will be doing in the future. As much as I'd love to be optimistic about Team Baldwin gaining substantial market share, taking 0 emergency loans, and accumulating major profits, at this point we know that won't happen. However, by realizing more where we stand, I do feel optimistic that we will continue to improve each round. Each category from research to development to TQM all tie together and build off of each other, without realizing that we will continue to demolish. By understanding what ties together, I do believe that Team Baldwin will continue to improve. That concludes the 2021 annual board meeting for Team Baldwin. I hope that this presentation gives the board more confidence that we feel that we have a better grip on what we're doing and that we continue to improve each round. Thank you for your time, and please have a great day.